One single word explains it all, my friends. Why do so many people mindlessly plow so much money into stocks and mutual funds when far better options exist? I'm Bryan Ellis. I'll tell you what that one word is and how you can get more of it right now in episode 115.
You're listening to Self-Directed Investor Radio, America's only podcast exclusively for affluent, self-directed investors, where each day of the week you receive innovative investment strategy and deadly accurate market analysis that's untainted by Wall Street and unblemished by government propaganda, all in 7 minutes or less. Coming to you now from iTunes, Stitcher, and SDIRadio.com, here's your host, Bryan Ellis.
Another day and I get to be with you yet again. I swear to you, my friends, I feel like the luckiest man alive to be able to spend this time with you each day. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the podcast of record for savvy, self-directed investors like you. So, folks, before I get started, today I'm delivering a powerful webinar that's exactly perfect for many of you. If you need a way to generate a solid, predictable, and astoundingly safe 7% on your portfolio, I'll show you exactly how to do that in today's webinar. It's not an exotic strategy. In fact, you'll understand the fundamentals in under 30 seconds, but it's powerful. And if you're looking for a way to deploy the core of your portfolio, the part that you're depending upon and you can't afford to risk, well, join us today. The webinar costs $97 for the general public, but for you as a listener to the Self-Directed Investor Radio Show, I will admit you without expense. But there are only a small number of complimentary passes remaining for today's live broadcast and then for a couple of rebroadcasts that are coming up. If you'd like to get one of those free passes, then text the word RESERVE to 33444 right now. Again, reserve your spot by texting the word RESERVE to 33444 right now, and I'll send you a link so you can get one of those complimentary passes now. My friends, yesterday was a crazy, delightful day. My team bought 4 different houses yesterday, all of which were bought so far below value that we have every reason in the world to expect to be able to make a big profit on these very, very quickly. I'd like to tell you about one of those deals. It's the one of the 4 that I know most about because my wife Carol and I bought it at her urging. And a quick aside, gentlemen, aren't you grateful for your wife? Wow, my wife has improved the quality of my decision-making so much, both in steering me away from bad ideas and pushing me towards good ones. Carol, thank you. I'm doing a terrible job of expressing how truly grateful I am for you and how profoundly central you are to the success of our business, but I want you to know, and I want everybody to know, I know I couldn't do it without you, not even close. And what I get from you isn't just nebulous help in the form of being a good, supportive wife, which you certainly are that, but you also contribute materially and substantially to our business in ways that nobody ever sees publicly, and I'm so grateful to you, so thank you. Okay, returning from that aside, I'd like to tell you about the deal we got yesterday because it's a really good one. But the reason I want to tell you about it is not to brag, but to express today's point about the one word that explains why so many people choose fundamentally questionable investments, including stocks and mutual funds, when superior options exist so clearly. So about this deal, I wasn't planning to buy it. I wasn't planning to do any investing at all yesterday. I was just minding my own business when the phone rang. On the other end of the phone was a friend and a colleague who I've come to respect and trust. This guy is a dynamo at finding really great real estate deals. He called and said, Bryan, I know you've been looking for some rental property in the Phoenix-Tucson corridor, and I've got one for you if you want it. Well, I wasn't expecting the call, so I was a bit surprised, but certainly intrigued. And he explained to me that the property's worth $100,000, and it will rent for about $850, but I could get it for $55,000, and that would include purchase and renovation and everything. Yeah, $55,000 and it's worth $100,000? I think I want that. This deal is great, and it's in a region of the country where we have some serious inside information that leads us to believe that there's massive appreciation potential. It's an exciting deal, but that's not where the story ends. I wasn't expecting to do any investing yesterday, and so I didn't have all of my funding at the ready. This was a deal bought at a foreclosure auction, so time is of the essence. It's a pay now or don't get the deal kind of thing. So we're funding this deal from a retirement account, and the person who controls that account is wholly unavailable to wire the funds until Monday. That's a big problem, right? Well, yeah, but when I expressed this to my colleague and I told him that he could just let it go to someone else, he said, don't worry, I'll carry it for you over the weekend. So this guy essentially lent me $55,000 on nothing more than the strength of a good relationship. The deal is going to be profitable, my friends. In fact, I may well just sell this one as a turnkey rental property and leave a huge chunk of equity in it for my buyer. But here's why I'm telling you all this. Yesterday, all over America, people called their stockbrokers or logged on to their E-Trade accounts or whatever they do, and they bought mutual funds. I'll bet somewhere somebody actually invested a similar amount of money, $55,000, as the amount of my deal. And you know what? Even if I sell it really, really cheaply, I'll still put $20,000 in my pocket in 45 days or less. And you know what? At the average annual rate of return of about 6.8%, It'll take that stock market investor 5 years to achieve what I'll achieve in the next 45 days. And I'll take far less risk while doing it. Why? Why am I doing it that way, and hopefully you too, rather than the conventional route of mutual funds? It all comes down to one word: access. I have access to these opportunities, and in truth, it's not really even just access as much as it is relationships. Relationships with people of influence, people with connections. Folks, that's the secret sauce of being a successful self-directed investor. It really is. Another quick example, and then I'll help you to see why this is great news for you, even if you don't feel like you have access to the kinds of deals I just described to you. So I'm always on the lookout for opportunities to connect my clients, many of whom are listeners to this very show, thank you very much, with great investment opportunities. I'm always looking for things that match the S3 investment standard of simple, safe, and strong. Well, one guy I'm evaluating has a pretty astounding track record. He understands this relationship issue far better than most. This guy does zero in the way of marketing, yet the kind of deals he gets in very large volume, he's done 35 deals in the last 60 days, it's just astounding. It's all a function of his relationships. He just bought a house for $273,000. It needs no renovation work whatsoever, and in as-is condition, it's worth $450,000. That's a massive paycheck about to happen because of a strong relationship. He got another one that's $95,000 all in, including renovation, and it's worth $170,000. And another all-in deal at $90,000 that's worth $150,000. He got a horse farm in a polo community for $258,000 that's easily worth $600,000, which he's going to sell in a matter of days at the discounted price of $499,000. You know, he's only going to make about $140,000 on that one in a few days. Poor guy. Here's my point, folks. It's all about access to high-quality relationships. And for those of you with whom I have the pleasure of working and for whom I get to serve as your access to deals like this, thank you. But what about you, my friend? Would you like to be involved in deals like I just described to you? Well, if this guy passes my due diligence process, which frankly most don't, but if he does, then I'll be looking for people, for savvy, self-directed investors who would like to take part in transactions like I just told you about. Interested? I thought so. Make sure you're part of the Self-Directed Investor 5-Star Listeners Group, and I'll share more information about this there. If you're not part of the group, just text the word SDI Group to 33444. Again, text the word SDI Group with no spaces or periods to 33444. My friends, invest wisely today and live well forever.
Thank you for listening to Self-Directed Investor Radio with Bryan Ellis. Don't miss a single episode. Be sure to subscribe to Self-Directed Investor Radio right now on iTunes, on Stitcher, and at SDIRadio.com. Your feedback is always welcomed via email at feedback@SDIRadio.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only and is not intended as legal or professional advice for your situation. Content is the property of the Self-Directed Investor Society.